Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to a quick little review of a song that everybody, the world, is talking about right now. I've assembled the Curse of the Collector crew to talk about the Beatles Now and Then, which hopefully by now everybody watching has had a chance to hear. We have also listened to it a few times or more than a few times and watched some of the videos. And in fact, right before we started taping, we were getting ready to go. And I asked Jamie, I said, did you see the video yet? And he said, no. I said, let's wait a couple minutes, go watch the video first, and then do this. Because I think to really appreciate the song, you have to see the video, which will bring everybody back to when they first discovered the Beatles. And I think, I don't know, guys, well, we'll welcome Scott, Rick, and Jamie from the Curse of the Collectors and other shows on the channel. I think it's pretty cool to have a Beatles song again, even though the genesis of this song goes way back and this has been worked on before, right? So everybody who doesn't know, Now and Then was originally a very raw John Lennon vocal and piano demo that in the mid 80s, 90s,
77, I believe.
They tried to resurface that recording,
yeah,
but
for
it's
a box set, right? So Paul, Ringo, and George, when George was still around, they tried to take that original demo and create something with it. But because of the lack of technology at the time to kind of do that they had to scrap it, right? But now all these years later, of course, Mr. Peter Jackson, who worked on the Get Back documentary with them, was able to come up with something that could make this all happen. Of course, now George is gone, but George recorded some cool slide guitar things and acoustic guitar parts for the original reworking that they were going to do back in the 90s. So now we have this full-fledged Beatles song featuring all four of them. So Scott, because we were just talking about it, what do you think when you compare the original John Lennon demo with the finished product? Great difference, right?
Yeah, big difference. I mean, you listen to that demo and it's a pretty raw demo. There's it's definitely John singing, and it sounds good. It sounds like there's definitely something there and something to build on, but it's an incomplete demo. Actually, it wasn't even a finished song, and obviously they added a lot of things that weren't there, and they even had to kind of punch up some of John's vocals with using AI. To what degree, I'm not sure, but I mean, it certainly sounds like John.
Yeah, basically just to isolate the track, because it's a cassette mono,
right?
And the cassette was on the floor and he's playing on the piano. So his voice is up here, the piano's here, and the cassette's on the floor. The loudest instrument is the piano. And so they could never isolate it. As much as they wanted to sing harmony with them in the 90s, 94, 95, it wasn't feasible to work. They put an effort. That's why we have what we have from George. But they were able to do Real Love, Freeze a Bird, and these were beautiful gems that they were able to sparkle the Beatles' shine that only the Beatles can do. But even then, you got to understand that this wasn't like, let's make an effort to make a hit and make a great song. They get some leftover material that they can try to salvage and try to make into a song. Unlike, the great Rolling Stones records out, they're trying to make a hit. Well, the Beatles are just taking whatever Yoko, with permission, allow them to try to see if we can bring something that can use John Lennon. And then they treated like back then, like if John Lennon was on a holiday and say, hey guys, finish the track for me, this is what I started, and they kind of had that. Because it must have been very hard to hear one of your best friends and singing, how emotional, all the emotions they might have to do just to get through all that. And to think that, I think it was awesome about 2023 as, the idea we got a new Beatles song, it kind of fit in because the Beatles was always on the edge of leading technology. Even when you follow the Beatles, it went from mono to stereo, and then bringing the tape machine, going backward, the Mellotron, the Moog synthesizer or the Moog synthesizer, all brand new stuff. Even a dog whistle at the end of Sgt. Pepper because nobody did it. They were always very daring that way, and this technology is so fitting that without this Get Back film, which we all had a chance to digest and appreciate, that technology allowed them to isolate certain conversations they wanted to hear with all the background noise. So that was the incentive for them to even tackle that. But when they realized they have the technology, you remember that song that we couldn't do? you know, Paul said, let's go back to it. And they did. And it was what great is that, and even a song title called Now and Then. So they got a piece of John from then, and they got, you know, and George and Paul, and a little piece of new Paul and Ringo playing drums and singing some harmony to that stuff. So it's pretty awesome. And then to think they used George Martin's son to bring the orchestration part to the song, it kind of fit. And they went to Capitol to do the recording. So they wanted to keep it in all that Beatle arena where everybody that's close to the family had ties to these songs. And the family members from, you know, Sean Lennon to Julian Lennon all gave him the blessing, saying how wonderful it is to hear my dad's new song. So if you want to check out the video, it's about a 4-minute song, but then there's an 11-minute video explaining how they put that together. And that's worth your attention.
Yeah, I would definitely do a comparison. You know, listen to that demo and then listen to the full track.
That's the birth of it, right? So it's almost like where it all began, right? And I think everything they added. I mean, Jamie, what do you think about all the violin and the cellos? And I think it works perfectly.
Oh, I think it's beautiful. And the first time I ever heard it, when it dropped, when did it drop? Yesterday or Thursday? I dropped Thursday, maybe.
I think Thursday, yeah.
At like 10 o'clock our time in the morning. And I listened to it. And I was like, okay, yeah, it's cool. But the more I listened to it, I just listened to it 3 or 4 times in a row. And I didn't get tired of it each time. I liked it more and more.
Yeah.
I loved the strings because then it kind of gives it that, you know, late Beatles feel, Eleanor Rigby or some shit like that.
Yeah. I'm a Wars.
I mean, I've watched a couple reactions. Rick Beato, who's got pretty good ears, I just watched him this morning. He's like, I'm glad it's there, but it's too compressed for me. Like, you know, I hear this compressed word all the time, and I think we gotta let that go. You know, maybe people have more sensitive ears than I have. Maybe they're listening for things.
It's modern recordings. It's been
a modern mix. Yeah, it is a modern.
It's 2023. I don't know what to tell you. It's not going to sound exactly like it came off the Sgt. Pepper's, but and I just watched. I didn't know there was an actual official video until 5 minutes before we started taping. So I ran in the bathroom and watched it. And anybody who says this is not an actual Beatles recording, watch the video. When you see Paul and Ringo standing side by side in real time singing harmonies, it's a Beatles recording over John's voice. It's definitely, and thank God they put some effort into it, just a little bit of effort into it in 1994 or whatever, or we wouldn't have George. We would not have him. They had some extra time when they were putting that anthology, what is it called, anthology together, and they were like, let's just give it a, you know, wing on maybe the last couple days or something, and thank God they did. But here's my question: will this in 15 years? Nobody talks about Free as a Bird. Nobody. Will this be like that in 15 years? Nobody's talking about Now and Then. I don't know. I think it's 20 times better than. I don't even know how Free as a Bird goes. I
think it's a way better song, personally.
Oh yeah, and I got the single yesterday at my record shop. Here's the thing with the single. First of all, it was $20 for one song. Well, you get a couple B-sides. But like I told my buddy who owns the shop, I said, I don't know what's worse, that it was $20 or that I expected it to be $20. So on blue vinyl, you get Now and then you get Love Me Do on the other side. So their first single and their last single, I guess. The cover. Let's talk about the cover for a second. They put all that work in. They got Peter Jackson, who's always on the top of what's going on in technology. I mean, who would have thought the guy who did Dead Alive would be on the top of technology world? You know, what was his first movie? I forget what it was called, like Stupidville or Horrendous.
Yeah, or, that old creature feature thing.
Yeah, I forget. Who would have thought that guy would be doing all this now? Lord of the Rings and everything. But the cover is really poor. It looks like a boring book my mom would have read in 1979. Oh, I'm reading this nice book. It's called Now and Then, about two people that meet on vacation and they fall in love. That's what it looks like. Here's your cover. It's right there.
Yeah.
Little clock that looks like it's made out of, stitched in yarn. Put that on the cover. No, it's real small in the corner, and that's what you get. I don't know.
Nothing Beatles on the outside of it, pal?
Oh, it is on the back. Look at that.
Only in the back.
Yeah,
Okay.
just,
That should have been on the front.
That's a
yeah,
great cover right
that
there.
cover's kind of
Yeah. And that shouldn't even be on the back. That should be scrapped on the floor.
yeah.
The guy who came up with that should be fired, and that should be on the front.
I don't know. Maybe somebody was thinking minimalist, you know, kind of like the White Album cover, you know.
He was thinking wrongly.
Especially when it's coming in with all that technology effort, there could have been a little more effort on that. Well, I guess so. I can follow that.
Yeah. Put a
what
picture of Peter Jackson eating a chicken wing on there. Something is better.
It'd be better.
But I think it's kind of unique that they can do it. And I don't know about you, but that haunting, beautiful melody that
That's great.
let him do it.
Oh,
It's
beautiful.
somewhat eerie, and the strings make it more melancholy, and I love it. And but honestly, I heard it, and every time I go to lie down, since the last couple of days, go to sleep when I sleep, which is very rare, I can't help hearing that melody all the way through my head. I already learned it, I already figured out on the chord. It's got the A minor, using all the minor chords, the D minor, the E minor. It's very John Lennon, very true, very true. And
Anybody else tear up at the end of the video when you have the Beatles all on stage? They go take their bow and then they
taking
disappear.
about a video, yeah.
Because quite frankly, this has got to be it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah,
little
the full
choked up.
circle.
yeah,
That was pretty powerful.
yeah.
But I'm glad that Pete made a time for us to plug into it a little bit. We just wanted to make sure that people have a chance to look into it. And again, remember, this is not like they came in, we're here to write a song. They just grabbing something and making a song out of it. And in a Beatle fashion, they did that. And not only that, it's very good. It goes to show you that the Beatles are so talented. Even effortlessly, they can make a pretty decent song from something they got from a demo like that. Especially when you hear all three demos of those songs and what they actually did at the end of the life of it, the final product, it's pretty impressive. And I just go to show you what the Beatles would have done. And if we learn anything from that Get Back movie, look how long they had to flesh out Get Back before we got to Get Back, right? So it's kind of interesting that even though it had time in between because they just didn't address it for a long time, but the idea that what they start with and what you come out at the end of the day is night and day. But when the Beatles say, hey, we're done, we'll put all of our talent on it, that's the Beatle product. So it's very impressive. It goes to show you how they work. Someone brings a song to the table and they flesh it out to become the Beatles song, and this is what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I say something? I kind of went into this with maybe low expectations. We talked about, you know, the previous songs they had done that were involved with the anthology project. And, you know, it was Real Love and Free as a Bird. And, you know, they were okay, but I wasn't like blown away by them. And I don't know, the whole idea of just taking a track that Lennon had done as a demo and just building, you know, just adding all this stuff, and I'm just, you know, he's not involved in the process at all, obviously. So yeah, there's a purist in me that's kind of like, I don't know, would John have signed off on this? But then I listened to the thing, you know, you hear the finished product and it just sounds amazing. It is good. I you know, so I do like what I'm hearing a lot.
Yeah.
But, you know,
You
there's
like
that
it,
kind of
Pete?
purist in the back of my head going, well, I don't know about that. You know,
You like it,
John have
Pete?
signed off.
I like it a lot. And I think Rick mentioned before, I think the more I hear it, the more I like it.
Me too.
First time I heard it, I was like, oh, that's okay. That's kind of haunting, and that's okay. And then I listened to it again. I'm like, all right. And like you, Rick, I listened to it, I think, twice yesterday. And I was like walking around the house and getting up this morning, and what's in my head? That melody.
Me too.
Not that often that happens, right?
Especially that young of a song, fresh, like 2 days ago.
Just started hearing it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the mark of great songwriting. And you know, there's a lot of other bands, hundreds, thousands of other bands that have leftover stuff, demos and outtakes that they're like laying around. It's like, oh, maybe we could use this. We'll throw it on our box set or on our reissue, and people listen to it once, then they're like, that's okay. There's a reason why it didn't make the album. Here you have this off the cutting room floor of an old tape that all of a sudden they made into the song that millions of people are listening to and talking to. I mean, that video that I shared with you, that I
Yeah.
told you to watch, has 12 million views already. Think
I
about
know.
it. 12
Not
million
surprised.
views.
Yesterday was 7 million, and this morning is at 12 million. It's and growing. And it's only a
It'll
couple
be
days
double
old.
that
So.
tomorrow.
Who knows? They probably can get a Grammy or something from this effort.
Would you
it's
doubt
really
it? Would
impressive.
you doubt it? No.
And is it fair for the Rolling Stones? They finally get a #1 album, then the Beatles coming
After all this time.
Steal their thunder.
Yeah.
I will say I have a chalkboard where I put all my new releases so I can keep track of what I have that's new. And after 3 months, they fall off and I replace them. It is so cool to have the Rolling Stones and the Beatles on the top there.
Isn't
Yeah,
that?
right.
I'm going to take a picture of it with everything else that's new, and I'm just going to keep that on my phone.
That's awesome.
That's very cool. By the way, not to
Put that on your
derail the conversation. People are going to be like, how dare you mention Dokken and the Beatles in the same discussion? But is that Dokken CD any good?
A lot of Dokken fans love it. The first 2 tracks. Now we're talking about Dokken on a Beatles.
I know.
They covered ELP. Never mind. The first 2 songs are the 2 songs I heard going in beforehand, and they're pretty good. Then it just does this even keel mid-tempo thing where the songs kind of sound samey. And look, you're getting 2023 Dokken, which isn't as good as 2023 Beatles or Stones.
No.
But a lot of people love it, so who am I to say?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. A lot of people really dig. So anyway, I didn't mean to steal the discussion away from the Beatles, because that's this one is all about.
You want to talk about anything else on here? The new Roger Waters? Yeah, and then we got Dark Side of the Moon and the Beatles and the wow.
We got a new Robin Trower album. We got KK's Priest. We got a new Judas Priest coming up soon. I mean, hey, it's
new Dolly Parton coming out in 2 weeks.
2023 was pretty good for a
not
lot
too
of
shabby, right? Not too shabby.
Yeah.
So for everybody watching, thanks for joining us on this quick little review of the Beatles Now and Then song, which has taken the world by storm. So importantly, let us know what you think of the new Beatles song down in the comments below. We want to see lots of people giving their thoughts. Let's see if we can get 1,000 comments in the comments section before the weekend's over. It wouldn't be surprise me if we did. So everybody let us know what you think of Now and Then by the Beatles. And thanks to the Curse of the Collector crew for coming on here, talking real quick about this great song. And we'll see you real soon here on the channel. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Now and Then by the Beatles. Thumbs up from everybody here. Let us know what you think. We'll see you soon here on the channel. I'm Pete Pardo for Scott Berry, Jamie Laszlo, and Rick Labonte. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
Later.